All right. So here's what I want to do. I want to introduce these four guys. These four guys are all dads. And I'm just going to do a little. How many of you remember Phil Donahue? All right. Used to walk up and down the aisles and ask questions of his panel and stuff. I'm going to be Phil Donahue today. All right. And I'm just going to ask these guys some questions about fatherhood. I thought rather than listen to me babble on and on, we'd get real dads talking about real dad stuff. So, Ryan, I'll have each of the guys introduce themselves and maybe how many kids you have, how long you've been a dad.
Check.
There we go.
Hello.
Yeah.
All right. I have been a dad for 5 years, and I have a 5-year-old and an almost 2-year-old.
All right. Thank you. Mark?
I'm Mark, and I've been a dad for 38 years.
Wow.
Hi, I'm George, and I've been a dad for 15 years.
And I'm George II. And I've been a dad for 41 years. I have 2 children.
Wow. Okay. Good. Thank you guys for doing this. Appreciate it. So when you think about the first moment that you heard you were going to be a dad, do you remember what you thought, what was going through your mind, what you were feeling? First moment you found out you were going to be a dad. Go ahead, George.
Well, I was excited, but also apprehensive. It's like, oh no.
Yeah. Okay.
I was driving to work, and Erica called me and told me. And I was like, it was like terrified, joyful, and just scared beyond belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hasn't changed much, though, has it,
No.
in 5 years? Yeah.
I think the first thing I felt was relief
Okay.
because we had been trying to trying to get pregnant, and so then at that point I knew, okay, I've done this right.
Yeah.
It's probably downhill from here, but
This is
I
why
did
we
this
let the
part
kids
right.
go, by the way. Yeah.
So it was relief, but it was joy and happy
Yeah.
and, like say, fear and apprehension and all of that stuff at once.
Yeah. George, can you remember back that far?
I can remember back that far. Yes, I can. I was very excited because we had been trying to have children for 5 years, had actually started adoption proceedings, and the lady that was in charge of it said, most of you won't be here. You'll get pregnant.
Yeah.
And within 3 months' time, we were pregnant.
I hear that story so many times. We were in the process of adopting, and we got pregnant, and there you have it. And adoption's such a beautiful gift for parents, too. So let's move forward 9 months then. What was it like? What did you feel the first time you held let's say your first child, or maybe only child, but the first time that you were a dad and held that child in your hands, your arms?
That was the most amazing feeling I've ever had. It's kind of indescribable.
Yeah.
It really is. It was like a glow that I can't describe.
That's exactly, George has got it just right. Unless you've been a dad, you cannot describe it.
Yeah.
I think that's the truth.
Yeah, it was a beautiful moment. It's something that sticks in my memory, both my kids, and very blessed.
Yeah. I can only just say it's like the greatest feeling in the world.
Did any of you pass out? Any of that stuff? Get grossed out? And, I mean,
No.
it was all good.
Good.
Okay, you gonna be honest?
You want to be a quick one, right?
Yeah.
To be honest. Okay. We were so excited. I was hugging my wife immensely, and the doctor said, "Would you like to know what sex your baby is?"
That's good. That's great. Fantastic. So what has been the greatest joy of being a father? The greatest joy? Or maybe there's a couple things. What do you like about being a dad?
I think the love they show you, it's unlike anything that anyone's ever showed me. And
I think the greatest thing is watching them grow, watching them go to school for the first time, graduate high school, have her own children,
Yeah.
Just all of those things.
Yeah.
Watching her life and being part of our life.
Yeah. Good.
For me, the joy in watching them grow up is to see them taking things on and overcoming challenges and setting goals and achieving them.
For me, all of those things, watching them grow up, but I would say the greatest one was their self-esteem and confidence and their sense of responsibility. Self-esteem is something that I never had, and I was really hoping and praying that they would have it.
Good.
And they both have it.
So there's a flip side, of course, to being a dad, and that's sometimes your dad's heart is wounded, or you get frustrated, or there are challenges that come with being a dad. So if you would say, here's one of the things that challenges me as a father, maybe not that my kids are a challenge, but for me, one of the things I wrestle with, I'm challenged by as a dad is what?
The hardest thing you can do to your kids is say no. But it's probably the best thing you can do for your kids.
Yeah.
I remember one time when Melissa was in the Navy, wasn't real good with her finances and was asking Dad and Mom to co-sign a loan for a truck. When my wife and I got married, nobody co-signed a loan for us. We bit the bullet, paid the 19% interest, and bought a car. And basically, I had to tell my daughter no.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the best answer they can get, is no.
Good. Thank you. All right. Great.
I think one of the challenges I experience is just making sure I spend enough time with them. And I know this is a cliche, but you try to spend quality time with your kids, but really every moment you can spend with them is quality time, and they just really enjoy the attention, whether it's one-on-one or whether you're just watching a movie, just spending time and being with them.
I'd agree with all that. The hardest thing for us was raising them with all the morals and principles and everything we thought was right,
Yeah.
and missing one part of the equation when they met their peers. And that changed everything.
Yeah.
Trying to emulate their peers and how to respond to that.
Okay.
And the only thing I could say to them was, I can't control what goes on in their house, but I can in our house.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's similar to what he said, spending time, and it's especially at this day and age where you can be just distracted by so many things, like your phone, your computer, TV. So, I've learned that when I'm with my kids, like I'll just like throw my phone somewhere and turn it off, or, close my computer, because it's easy just to ignore them and, check work, or, check my text, who texts me right now, but that stuff doesn't matter in the end, So you can't get that time back, that you if you're like ignoring your kids or on your phone or whatever, it's just, to me, that's spending quality time, is just
Yep.
turning off that stuff.
Good. So if you were to give a piece of advice to a brand new dad, what would that piece of advice be?
You will never sleep again.
I think, as well as spending time, is just being engaged with them in their activities and their lives. My daughters are both entering their teens, and as they become more independent, I want to make sure that I just don't let them go off and just do what they want to do, or think that that they're older now and they can take on challenges by themselves. To be present and make sure that I ask them questions. What's going on in your life, and what are some of your challenges that you're experiencing?
Yes, excuse me, and I agree with that, to be there for them. One of the greatest things for me was when we were going to have our son, I was petrified because I never had a father that mentored me in any kind of sports, and I didn't know what I'd be able to offer him. And years later, all I could do was just go there and be there at every sport and watch him. And he said to me, it's the best thing you could have ever done.
Good.
That's all I wanted.
Yeah. Two more questions. This is kind of like what we just talked about, but if you could go back and do one thing over again, and for all of you that's going to be a little different time-wise, but what would you do differently? And maybe you've already said it, so you may not all need to answer, but if there's one thing you would do a little differently as a dad to this point in your life, is there something you would do change, do differently?
This is where he stumps us all.
This was the one not on the list.
It wasn't on the list.
It
No.
wasn't on the list.
Oh, I guess what I'd say is try not to worry so much and just do the best job possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. You don't have to be perfect. You have to be there. I hate to echo what everybody else has said, but that's the biggest thing you could do is be there. And it doesn't have to be anything special to be there. Some of my best memories are I was putting together a toolbox, basically just putting the wheels on a toolbox. And when I'm sitting there, my daughter came up and sat in my lap while I was screwing the wheels on.
Yeah.
Nothing special, but I remember that for my whole life.
Yep. Yep.
I thought of one. That you don't have to do everything yourself. As guys, you know, we want to be strong and we don't want to show any weakness. But we don't have to do everything ourselves. We can ask for help, and that's something that I wish I would have done more of when my kids were smaller.
Well, we talk about this all the time. None of us are trained to do this. And so it's sort of on-the-job training. Some of us had dads who mentored us a little bit. Some of us didn't. But when that first child comes and then the next one, you know, each time it's a new learning experience. How has faith helped you, shaped you, supported you in this journey of fatherhood?
Well, for me, it's been a great guide. I was, you know, from the moment I was born, and I was raised in the church, and so that's something that I've tried to pass along to my kids and to give them that strong foundation.
I would say, being a firstborn perfectionist, to realize that I did need help and did ask instead of trying to do it all myself.
Okay.
And that's where the faith came in.
Good. That's all right. You don't have to. It's good. It's okay.
I think I look at it as God as our Father. So how would He want you to be a parent to your child and live in His name and show your children, you know, the way of the Word and following God through the journey and you know, asking for help when you need it.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Good. Excellent. Would you give these guys a round of applause? They did fantastic. Thank you, guys. Can you put your